few months back, maybe about 6 months ago, I did a video on the Cerakote Ceramic Coating, and I was in fact the only one that was willing to say that it had subpar results, which after a few weeks went by, they ended up pulling it off the market and have come out with version 2. Now, one important thing that I noticed in their marketing was that they say, other brands say they're number 1, we prove it, and then they offer to put Cerakote test against any brand or experience their unmatched gloss, slickness, water behavior, and durability for hundreds of, my favorite word, real-world washes. So don't worry, we have a real-world test going on, and those will come out through shorts. But I thought, man, if they're number 1, I'm really interested to see how close the Gloss Boss can get to that. So the way I know how to do that is to apply both to the panel per the exact instructions with curing and right temperature and all that. And then we'll let it cure for 7 days, 7 full days inside, won't be exposed to anything. We'll do a torture test on it. And then we will also have a real world, at least my real world, test going on through some shorts, and we will see which one lasts the longest. And we will test against gloss, slickness, water behavior, and durability to see which one's better. And that's ultimately what I want to find out, is how well, if they are number 1, how well does my Gloss Boss stand up to the number 1? Okay, according to the directions for the Gloss Boss, you want to apply a liberal amount onto the applicator, apply directly to the surface, overlapping, yada, yada, yada. It's kind of all the same, right? So take the Gloss Boss, take the supplied applicator, apply liberal amount like that. We're doing like a half a panel, so it's not that much. Let me move this out of the way. We'll apply it. I like to start in the middle of a panel, no matter what coating I'm using, and then I start one direction, and then I will work in a crosshatch. The Gloss Boss, there's some differences right away. The Gloss Boss is more of a rainbowing coating, whereas the Cerakote claims to be more of a sweating coating. And to be totally honest, I don't think there's any difference in performance with that. The differences between those, I think it just is what it is. So a very smooth, easy application on the Gloss Boss. You can leave it up to 15 minutes. So in the previous video, I showed you how I coated or applied the coating to a whole entire car before I began to level it. And so we'll let this set up for about 5 minutes. So when it comes to the Cerakote, let me get the instructions out here. I want to make sure that I'm following this to an absolute T. So we have that. The curing was their mechanism that they said they had wrong. So it needs to cure for at least 2 hours at 65 degrees or higher before returning to the customer. So, but don't worry, we're going to give it 7 days, and it's definitely above 65 degrees. I'm sweating in here. So we'll give it 5 minutes. Same idea. We'll just apply it liberally to the applicator like so. I like to start in the middle of the panel. If it starts to dry out, you could apply a little bit more. Seems like it did start to dry out. Getting almost an instant rainbowing on it. And then come back crosshatch. Almost like an instant rainbow and almost an instant sweating. So the first time we applied it with their version 1 or whatever it was, applied very nice, came off very nice, and then torture tested horrendously. So, and then other people saw that too. It lasted about a month. So I'm really hoping that it lasts longer than a month, especially for all the heat they went through. And so I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes. I will remove the Cerakote first because they say 5 minutes. I know the Gloss Boss can go up to about 15 minutes, maybe even a little bit more. In the meantime, we'll watch it to see what it looks like as it starts to bond and cure. All right, it's been about 5 minutes, but on the car that we're doing the real world testing on, I waited 5 minutes, and I could show you later. It's incredibly difficult to remove. It's not super hot, like ideal conditions. I could still see the sweating marks in some spots. It's probably not gonna pick it up on the camera. Incredibly difficult to remove. I might have to actually repolish that. So here is the Cerakote on this side. Again, more of a sweating coating, and that's what I'm seeing on the hood of that car, of like the sweat marks. I even went to a wet towel. It's just, okay, it's coming off better. I would not wait the full 5 minutes like it said. I think you should wait a minute or two. But, so I'm gonna have to figure out what to do on the hood of that car. It's coming off way better on the hood, on the panel I mean. Super slick underneath the towel. Way easier removal on the panel than on the hood of the car. So be very careful waiting that full 5 minutes, especially if it's humid or something. I would not listen to the directions, but I've applied hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ceramic coatings. And when a coating is that difficult to remove, like on the hood of the car, where I'm having to like get a wet towel to try to knock it down, it's, in my experience, that's where it means that the coating has sat too long on the car, and you don't want that. So, shocker, their instructions may be wrong, whatever. But I'm just telling you stuff that no one else is gonna tell you. So how about that, okay? On the Gloss Boss side, the longer you leave it, it is gonna be tacky on the first wipe. So it's gonna feel hard to remove, but it's actually not, it's just tacky. So if you wait towards that 15 minutes, it's gonna be a little bit grabbier to remove, but it removes. So the problem I was having on the Cerakote side is it wasn't removing. It was actually slick and not tacky. My towel was just gliding over it and not removing that excess, which is the difference. So, and you have up to 15 minutes. Again, just like with the Cerakote side though, be aware that if you live in, you know, extreme temperatures or it's really humid, you may want to do a couple panels to kind of find your own method. That's why I have a range of 5 to 15 minutes, because it depends. You can't say 5 minutes for every condition. You don't know that. So on the Gloss Boss, if it is grabby on the first wipe, first initial wipe, it smoothens up and removes like a normal coating that you moved a minute ago, or that you applied a minute ago. So there's the application for both the Gloss Boss and Cerakote. Don't forget, we're gonna have a shorts series going on that. I will keep you updated on what I end up doing. I might just leave it. I might have to polish that side and reapply. I'll let you know in the shorts, but I'm gonna let this fully cure for 7 days inside without anyone touching it. The temperature's good. We're in July, mid-July right now. And so the curing mechanism, the curing should be all good. And then we'll do a torture test and a real world test all at the same time. So make sure you subscribe so you get first alerted of all those videos coming up.